What's up, everybody? Philly Soccer Page postgame show. I'm here tonight with Greg Orlandini and Steve Whisler. Union fall 2-0 to Atlanta at home tonight. Attack never really got going. Atlanta made them pay. Just clinical finishing. I think we've seen the show, unfortunately, before at Town Energy Stadium.
Anything you talk about with this team right now is academic because it just boils down to they're not good enough in the attack. They can't finish. It's how many shutouts now? Is it 9?
It's 9 of the last 18. Yeah,
9 over the last 18. Yeah. I mean, how many of those have been at home?
Yeah.
And you come off a tough road loss where you give up 4 goals in LA. You did get one back, but still it was a tough loss. It's a very good team and a tough place to play. But you think you want to kind of make amends for that, and they come home and it's just not there in the final third.
We don't want to point fingers specifically, but I think there's fingers to point here. Another quiet night for CJ Sapong. Yeah. I think Boris Ciskel had a couple of really nice chances to score. Fahapako, again, not being able to sort himself out in the final third. What do you make of that trio?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you look at where the Union had success, just right above the 18 there was a lot of space for Elsinho, Rosenberry, Bedoya, Dockshaw, all of them to combine really well, but there just wasn't that creativity, and Sapong wasn't part of that at all. And he didn't have one shot on goal. He won one block shot, I think they said. But, he couldn't find the ball at all, couldn't find the game at all, which is something that, even though Jim Curtin doesn't want to talk about at the press conference, is alarming at this point, I would say.
I mean, it came out straight away in the press conference. Our friend Matt DeGeorge asked Jim Curtin, he was like, do you feel like you have the horses in attack right now? And Curtin had one word answer of just being yes. I mean, what do you make of that?
No. Yeah. Quite frankly.
Yeah, I think we can disagree.
They don't. I think Dutchkel has solidified he's a good provider. He does have 5 goals on the year, but he's not really the guy you're counting on to score for you. He's the guy that's supposed to be providing for somebody. And CJ Sapong's your starting forward in a 1-forward system, and he has 2 goals. He had, like you said, one block shot tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue isn't even necessarily his form at all. It's his style of play at this point. It's not that he's not missing shots. Yes, he's missed shots before, but really he's not even getting space to make the shot. So if you're talking about where all those midfielders are finding space and playing with each other, but your forward isn't getting involved in all, then that's a different issue than just him being ice cold in front of net. That's an issue of tactically, where is he fitting into the puzzle of how the team's playing, basically.
And we've talked about it on the podcast, and Adam Cann has written about it, but the Philly Soccer Page now for the Union, about this whole expected goals statistic to measure things. And in the Union are usually, I guess, top 10 in that or very high. They're creating a lot of chances. So if your expected goals are high and you're creating these chances and you're not finishing, that has to tell you something. That has to tell you whoever's supposed to be finishing is not. It's just not good enough.
I feel like we're stuck in this loop. And we talked about this a little bit off camera. And we talked about this on the podcast this week. We spent 2017 going, if this team had a 10 to dictate play, they'd be really close to that playoff line instead of dragging 2 or 3 spots behind. And I feel like we're stuck in that loop again where we're saying the same thing about the number 9 this year.
I mean, how many games have the Union gone into where they've had the advantage of striker this season? I can't think of any right now.
I know.
So obviously coming up against a really tough Atlanta team, they did take their 2 chances well. I think Andre Blake maybe been a little bit lucky to have been sent off, and giving Atlanta penalty kicks has ruined the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's what Martinez is probably leading the Golden Boot race at this point.
Yeah,
and,
18
most
goals.
of them are 18 goals already. That's
12 from the penalty.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, what they're doing is they're just getting behind. They're waiting they're absorbing the pressure. Have those wingers waiting to pounce and beat. And the Union know that's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. I mean, they're good enough that they can, that they can telegraph and still do it. But but the other thing is they do give up goals normally, and. We were down to 9 men in Atlanta, and we were able to get a goal. Right. We couldn't get one tonight. So.
And we talked about it on the podcast. They're not that strong outside of Atlanta. I think that the home field advantage they get in Atlanta is huge. Yeah. And they just they've been average on the road, and they think they lost against Dallas coming into here. So you think.
Yeah, they had a midweek game too. We didn't even talk about that.
Right. Yeah, they had a midweek game, and so you think you get this team in a good spot, and you can't finish.
Yeah. You need 3 subs tonight. You bring in Corey Burke, you bring in David Acom, and you bring in Marcus Epps, and it's all 3 like for like. The third sub comes in the 82nd minute after the score's 2-0. I tweeted this out on the Philly Soccer Page Twitter. Why not pull Regattas and go 3 at the back and give it a go for 10 minutes?
Well,
it's so frustrating to see just the transparent tactics all the time.
Right. I mean, and I think that's the other thing we've talked about ad nauseum is the inflexibility in the tactics.
Yeah.
That no matter who you put out there, it's 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not, and so that's the other thing. And you mentioned David Acom. He's a high profile, high price guy you brought in.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that again as like a thing where like he's not finding the ball at all again either. Like, and so that's a question of tactically like he's not on the but he had like one little run of play, right?
Yeah.
He was in like 15 minutes something like
that.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
So,
well, I think we'll wrap up there.
Midweek game coming against Chicago.
Midweek game against Chicago is essentially a 6-pointer away in Chicago.
Yeah. And I'll put this to you guys. Do we see any squad rotation?
No.
I don't
Okay.
think
All right.
I don't think so.
Do I want to see some squad rotation? Yes. Do I think there will be some? No.
I don't see it.
So midweek against Chicago, Union back here next Saturday for a friendly against Eintracht Frankfurt.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. Certainly be a soccer game. I think.
And then Open Cup the week after that.
Open Cup quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal on the 18th.
Big match against Orlandini.
And they still have a path to the final, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
They have a very clear path to the final.
I mean, if there's the chance to concentrate on the Open Cup, it's probably the route that the Union should take at this point. So, all right, we will see you next week for the friendly against Eintracht Frankfurt.